Now, the Special Investigating Unit has confirmed that it has secured a preservation order to freeze 2 multi-million-rand properties linked to former PRASA Group Chief Executive Officer Lucky Montana. This is in relation to the 5.6 billion rand irregular tender awarded to the Integrated Security Access Management System contract that was awarded to Siyangena Technologies PTY Ltd. In a social media post released yesterday, Montana criticised the SIU's civil proceedings against him. Well, let's get a little bit more detail. We're actually joined in studio now by Advocate Selby Makgotho, who is the SIU spokesperson. Such a pleasure, Advocate. Thank you very, very much for your time. So let's just remove all confusion at this point in time by these competing public statements that we've seen. Is this an interim preservation order, and what legal restrictions does it impose on Mr. Montana?
Thank you very much, Shirley, and thank you for having us on the show. Good morning to the viewers. This is a preservation order that was granted by the Special Tribunal on ex parte basis late last week. It seeks to preserve the 2 properties linked and registered in the name of Mr. Montana, who is the former Chief Executive Officer of PRASA. The preservation order seeks to restrain Mr. Montana from transferring, listing or disposing in whatsoever manner any of the 2 properties. This is a property that is one here in Johannesburg in Hellingham for 13.5 million rands, and the other one is for 2.2 million, that is in Waterkloof in Pretoria. Yeah. By the directive of the Special Tribunal, Mr. Montana is not legally authorized at this point in time to do anything. Up until the 11th of August, wherein the Special Tribunal has said they can come and address it on why this preservation order could not be made final. It is an interim preservation order, but then there could be reasons that perhaps they would need to advance to the court as to why this could not be made a final order. But again, within the next 30 days, the Special Investigating Unit will then be required by it's actually a directive, not even a requirement, to institute civil recovery proceedings. So within the next 30 days, which is in a month's time, the SIU will then be proceeding to institute full civil recovery proceedings against Mr. Montana.
So what Mr. Montana says is that the SIU is misleading the public because the order was obtained provisionally before he filed his notice to appeal. So, I mean, what did the tribunal have to be satisfied or before granting this interim order? Or was it Mr. Montana was actually given notice of the application?
No, this is an ex parte application. What happens in an ex parte application is that because we are looking at the preservation order with the risk or the understanding that should it be made public that or should it be known by the respondents, in this case Mr. Montana and any other of the respondents, chances are that these properties would then disappear, would be dissipated. This is clearly a preservation order. I saw there was somewhere where in it says it should have been a provisional order before it gets into a preservation order. I don't understand which legal provision makes that. We approached the Special Tribunal, having done our investigation and sought a preservation order. Is it clear as that? It doesn't even need any other qualification. It's a preservation order.
Okay, so thank you for the clarity, because that's important. So let's now move quickly to the 11th of August, because the respondents have reportedly been called to appear on the 11th of August to show why the order should not be made final. What do you have to prove as the SIU? What do you have to do on this day?
Well, at this point in time, we have preliminarily proved our point to the fact that these 2 properties have been purchased as a result of the proceeds of the irregular transactions that took place or that flowed from PRASA's security contracts with one of the companies by the name of Siyangena Technologies, PTY Ltd. And maybe, and at this point, I need to indicate that even before the SIU's proclamation was granted, around 2018, PRASA had actually gone to seek self-review proceedings in relation to the contracts that were awarded by PRASA at the time, around 2015, and Siyangena. And indeed, the court had made a determination, a finding. There is a finding to the effect that these payments that flowed from PRASA to Siyangena were irregular and ought not to have transpired in the first place. So when we went into the proclamation, that is Proclamation 154 of 2024, already we're having this background understanding, and we had to prove to the special tribunal when we were making this case that these funds were irregularly awarded, the contracts were irregularly awarded, but more importantly, the money flow, the trail of the money ended up in the purchasing of these two properties. This is what we have preliminarily found, and this is what we will be presenting to the special tribunal.
Because that's the hard evidence that they're needed. But I think what's important to find out now, is the SIU alleging that these properties were kickbacks or gratification in exchange for favours or in exchange for Mr. Montana influencing the awarding or extending of the Siyangena contracts?
Well, it could go either way. It could go either way in the sense that from what we have been able to pick up out of the investigations is that these transactions for the registration, for the purchasing of the properties, is a result of the financial transactions. The monies actually that were held in PRASA, there were I think there are about 3 companies wherein the monies moved from PRASA into Siyangena. There is a TMM and there is another company there. So ultimately, they then ended up going into the lawyers' accounts, into the attorney's trust accounts for the registration of these properties. But around 2014, the first property was registered. The other one was registered in 2015. So they were just a year apart from each other in terms of registration. So the whole value chain, in as far as the finances are concerned, is what has been actually of interest to us, is what we have been pursued, and is what evidence we are ready to take to court with the final understanding or determination that these properties could be declared forfeit to the state in such a way that then we will be able to recover part of the 5.6 billion irregular contracts.
I suppose the SIU, in a way, is very lucky that these properties haven't been sold as yet, because, I mean, if you look back, the Waterkloof property was acquired in 2014, Hurlingham 2015, Siyangena contracts were set aside by the High Court in 2020, and the Supreme Court of Appeal upheld the result in 2022, and here we sit in 2026. What took so long?
The investigation actually, by its nature, takes quite some time, especially we're looking into a 5.6 billion contract, various transactions having taken place in various stages, quite a number of role players involved. So the process of actually getting the evidence, gathering the evidence, it's by itself a very tedious process. You need to get in court approvals in some instances to subpoena certain records, but the process of evidence gathering by itself, it's quite a tedious one, because what we need to do at the end of the day is to ensure that the evidence that we present, it's tangible, it's acceptable, and it's solid to prove our case.
Just very quickly, this 15.75 million rand, is this the full amount that the SIU are seeking from Mr. Montana, or are there other assets you're actually looking at?
Well, there are other assets that we are looking at. At this point in time, we can confirm this very same true. The investigations are still ongoing. As and when investigations are ongoing, we do come across other additional evidence, which then needs to be analyzed at the end of the day. But that's where we are. At the moment, the two are preserved.
All right, Advocate, thank you. Thanks for coming in and chatting to us. I know there's much more to get into on that story, but I think that pretty much gives you a response to some social media posts that were out there from Mr. Lucky Montana. Advocate Selby Makgotho is the SIU spokesperson, talking to us about the Special Investigating Unit securing a preservation order to freeze 2 multi-million-rand properties linked to former PRASA Group Executive Officer Lucky Montana.